Hi, are you trying to decide on an excursion in Costa Maya? We were wondering, is it better to stay in port, to skip it all together and stay and relax on the ship? That's what a bunch of people were saying online. So we had 6 adults. We were all trying to decide on an excursion. We had a couple of things that we were trying to figure out as far as what each of us wanted and what each of us didn't want. So we had a few guidelines, and we had to kind of keep within those guidelines to choose an excursion. So we decided in the end on chill out river raft in Costa Maya. So stay tuned if you want to hear a little bit more about how we chose it, what we experienced on that excursion, and if this is something that you would want to do with your friends and family. So stay tuned, and my name is Shannon, and hopefully this information is helpful for you. So welcome to my channel. Again, my name is Shannon. I'm in my cruise era. So what we are talking about today is a little bit about my experience on the Chill Out River Raft in Costa Maya. We did this excursion. We actually did it through Royal Caribbean. We were on Mariner of the Seas, and so we did it through the cruise line. There were a few reasons why we chose that. But first, we had to have 6 of us agree on an excursion. And wow, was that a challenge. That was a lot of video calls and talks and information back and forth, watching a lot of YouTube videos, trying to figure out which excursion would be best for the 6 of us that we would all enjoy. So what we finally came up with was that there were a few of us who did not want anything super high risk. We had someone who was very anxious about being dropped in the middle of the Gulf or the middle of the water. So anything that would take us on a boat that would drop us in the middle of the water to go snorkeling or something was kind of out. And then some of us didn't really want to go on things like ATVs, which that would be me. So, and then the last request, the final request, was kind of one person who hadn't really spoken up a whole lot, who said that they really wanted to see the beautiful colors of the water in Mexico. And so we found an excursion that would go to the Bacalar, I think is how you say it, Bacalar Lagoon, or the Seven Colors Lake, which is a beautiful area. So that's what we finally decided on. It was something that wouldn't take us, too far out in the middle and drop us somewhere. It wasn't too high risk, or too taxing on us. But there were a couple of things that kind of came up with this excursion, which is why we definitely wanted to use the cruise line. So my husband and I have frequently done excursions through non-cruise line companies, and to save a little money and to have smaller groups. That was our main reason. But for this one, it requires almost an hour and a half drive there and an hour and a half drive back. And it would take us the full time that we had at Costa Maya, which made me a little bit nervous about getting back to the port and back to the ship on time. So the cruise line says, hopefully this is true, that they will not leave you behind if you're on one of their excursions. So that's what we did. We did Royal Caribbean's excursion. I did it right on the app on my phone. We found a sale, so we were able to get for a little less than what we would have originally. And it's cheaper to do that before you get on the ship. So if you're waiting for to decide on an excursion for when you get on the ship, you're going to pay more. So we did get a sale on that. That was great, and decided to go through Royal Caribbean. So a couple of things. One, we had an air-conditioned bus. There was, I don't know, maybe like 20 of us on the bus. So it wasn't huge, but it also wasn't real small and intimate either. So the ride there, it was long. It was nice that there were 6 of us. We could chit chat. We also made friends with people on the bus, so we chatted with them. We were a little concerned. We had someone on the bus who was having some sickness, and he looked absolutely miserable, and we were worried that he was going to throw up on the bus. But thank goodness he did not. We made it there, and that was great. So when we got there, there were some huts, there were bathrooms, there was an area for lunch because they were providing a lunch after the excursion. And so we had a chance to use the restroom, change clothes if we wanted to. There were a couple of little shops, you could purchase some souvenirs if you wanted to. And then we got started right away, and we got on our rafts. And so we took these rafts. There were, I think, 4 to a raft. So we took a raft that took us to our destination that was the Seven Colors Lake. So it was really neat kind of going through some areas, and we had a guide, and so he was kind of directing us and telling us some things to look for and to look at, and so we went through this little winding river path until we got this beautiful area of this lake. And so we were able to get off the rafts and swim around and just hang out in the water. It was a beautiful day. We had beautiful weather, and spent a little time, took some pictures. The guide talked to us about how much he loved living there and how much he loved kind of the slow lifestyle of living in Costa Maya. And he had family that lived in a bigger city in the U.S., and he said he never really had an interest in doing that because he just loved the slowness of being at Costa Maya. So we had a fun time talking with him, and then it was time to get back on the rafts. And so we got back on the rafts. They gave us a little wine or fruit punch or something, anything that we wanted. They had a couple different varieties, non-alcoholic and alcoholic drinks. And they poured us a glass, and then we went back through that river path to get back to the area for lunch. For lunch, it wasn't anything spectacular. We all got the same thing, and there was some fruit cups, and there was just almost like a quesadilla type thing with a little bit of meat and cheese and tortilla. And so we had our lunch. They had drinks for us. This was all included in the excursion. So we had all of that, and then shopped around for a little bit in a couple of little shops, and then they had us get on the bus, and they took us back. So again, it was a good, hour and 20 minutes or so to get back. And so on the way back, it was cutting it a little close. So when we got to the port, I've never seen this before, but we got to the port, there was nobody at the port of Costa Maya. People were closing shops. They were, sweeping and kind of cleaning up for the day. It was the first time I've ever been in a port where nobody was asking me if I wanted to buy something or look at something. It was like a ghost town. It was weird. So we got through the port as quickly as we could and got to the ship. And so I swear we looked like we were, the runners, that are running to get to the ship because we've done something wrong. But we did nothing wrong. We came right back right away. And so I was super grateful and thankful that I went through the cruise line, that we didn't go on our own to do that excursion because it was long and it took up the entire time. We got back, and then we went up to one of our rooms and looked out the balcony, and there were a few other people that were on our excursion, but they were on a different bus, and they were straggling behind. And so people were, gawking at them and saying things. And we were like, hey, they were on a Royal Caribbean excursion. Like, they were with us. So just so that you know, and it's a long walk. It's a long walk from the port all the way up to the ship. So if you have any mobility issues, this one might be a tough one, especially because you're going to feel that pressure to walk fast and get back to the ship so the ship doesn't leave you behind. So would I do this excursion again? I would. It was really pretty. It was relaxing. It was fun. It was nice going with other people because we were on that bus for so long. I mean, like 3 hours of the day we were on that bus. So would I want to do it every time? No, because that was a long bus ride. And it kind of, we couldn't even explore the port of Costa Maya, which I like the port of Costa Maya. So that was a little disappointing that we had zero time to explore the port afterwards. But we had a really good time. So hopefully this was helpful. If you're trying to decide on what excursion you want to do and you're wondering, is this worth it? Some of the concerns that we had early on had to do with it being a long bus ride, worried about being bug infested near the river, worried about bad food. I had heard that before. Heard that it might be boring. I wasn't bored at all, but I love exploring new areas. And then that kind of that concern about being left behind. So I would do it through the cruise line if you're going to do a longer excursion like this. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of information about the excursion, and hopefully the videos give you a little peek into our experience. And if this was interesting to you, and if you like this information, please like and subscribe. I'm just starting my channel and trying to get some good information out there for you to help you make your decision on your next cruise. So again, my name is Shannon. Welcome to my channel. I'm in my cruise era, and hopefully I'll see you on the next video or check out one of my other videos. All right, thanks. Bye.